Hello. I'm going to go ahead and invite Brian. I think this is on. Let's see.
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Hello.
It's been a while since
How are you?
we've done one of these things. I know.
I'm good. It's been a while. Well, glad we're back. Thanks everyone for joining and whoever watches this post live. I'm Nikki, the founder of Bite Me Cancer, and I'm here with Brian, and this is Live with Nikki and Brian. We are both cancer survivors. We both had cancer as teenagers, and tonight we have the great pleasure of speaking with Madeleine Raley, who is also a teen cancer survivor. This week is particularly special for the foundation and for teens with cancer in general. It is Teen Cancer Awareness Week in the state of Virginia, the third week of January since 2015 is Teen Cancer Awareness Week. Fight Me Cancer as a foundation actually went through the process and got that solidified with the state of Virginia. So moving forward, the third week of January will be Teen Cancer Awareness Week, and it's just really a time to fully recognize just the extreme, differences that teens go through when they have cancer, when they're diagnosed, post-treatment, post-cancer. And we just really want to make sure that they're recognized. So very happy we worked with the state of Virginia to get that situated back in 2015. And then this Saturday, we're actually doing our second event just for teens. It is at Dave & Buster's out in Fairfax. And it's really just an event for teens, their families, friends, free of charge to come and just play some games, have some food, and not talk about cancer. They're welcome to talk about it if they want to, but as Brian knows and can attest to, especially when they're diagnosed and going through treatment, the last thing we want to do is talk about it. So we really just want to give them an outlet to just have a good time, maybe see somebody else that's going through what they're going through. And yes, it'll be a great time. This is our second time. Dave & Buster's has been incredible, so thank you to them. And yeah, I just rambled for a bit. I will go ahead and invite Madeleine on. I see she's joined. Madeleine, I'm going to send you an invite right now. You should get a notification.
Yeah.
Alan?
That's a word.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
No, you're great.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, it's finally good get this scheduled and happen. It's been a little while.
We're happy to have you.
I know. We kept getting sick. It's been like my household, it's been like COVID and flu and all of that fun stuff. So I am very happy to be here. Bye.
Awesome. Well, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of background, maybe just
Great.
like your medical journey. And
I
then,
have been doing this for a little while. When I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed. So I'm now 29, so turning 30 this year. So I think that it's been 12 years. But basically, like, I just strep throat and like tonsillitis and having a lot of like swelling in my throat. And my primary care physician noticed that it was like not going down. This is my senior year of high school. So they sent me for like an ultrasound and biopsy. And I was like 17 and thinking like, oh, this is so overkill. I can't believe that this is so embarrassing. I have to like go. And then turns out that it was actually cancer. So I went through like my senior year of high school and through my first 2 or 3 years of college. I ended up having 4 surgeries just to get thyroid taken out and then a bunch of lymph nodes. And then I also did 2 rounds of radioactive iodine therapy. And then, so that was over the course of like 4 years. And then since then, it's just kind of been like watching and waiting and really dealing like with the symptoms of getting treated. So I don't know about your guys' experience, but at least in my experience, I never felt sick or anything like that. Like I never felt like I had cancer. I like still don't feel like it. Like it's really the side effects of having to go through the treatments that is what's been most challenging for me. So recently, I've just been having a lot of trouble regulating my calcium levels. So when they removed my thyroid gland, they also removed my parathyroid glands, and that's what regulates calcium in your body. So the biggest challenge for me has been this like wave of my calcium levels going up and down, and it's almost like being diabetic. Like when they're too low, you can go into like hypocalcemic shock, and that has happened to me unfortunately a few times. And that has just like that has been my biggest struggle is my calcium levels. Not anything to do with that is always super crazy to me. But that's my medical journey, and I have recently gone back to school to be a therapist.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to work with adolescents. Not sure if I work with kids with illness or anything like that. I think that might be like a little bit too triggering for me now that I'm going through it. Like adolescents, I think that they're a great age group, and I think that it's a really important time of life. So I think that's the age group I'm going to focus on. Just that's also like the age that I went through a lot of things. So there's inspiration there, but I don't know if I'll deal with illness. So we'll see. But that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And well, not the journey being awesome, but awesome that you're gonna, give back in that way. Well, not that I forgot, but just to mention for the folks listening that Madeleine and I actually both had thyroid cancer. So, and we're both 17. So when we kind of connected and our parents connected way back when, we kind of related on some of those things. And Brian, being in college, the three of us kind of dealt with cancer and repercussions as later teens, and just kind of the challenges of that and going through something like that, but then also dealing with stuff after is almost like more of a pain because you're like, you want to forget about it, but then at the same time, you're always reminded. Like I still do scans. I'm sure, Brian, you still have scans sometimes, like, some medications with our thyroids, like always having to, if I'm feeling off, go back to get lab work, go back to the doctor, go back to adjust this and that. And it's almost like the maintenance is
try to move on with your life
even more
and
troubling.
having to always have this looking over your shoulder. Is it going to come back every time the doctor, probably fine. There's probably an issue, but just having that thing in the back. Okay, well, I have cancer again. Something that sometimes it's hard to get over, but it just is all there.
Yeah, I'll literally have like a pain like in my foot, and I'm like, oh my God, do you think it's gonna be cancer? Or like, how sometimes you'll lay down and you'll get like a little pain like in your chest. Like my cancer had spread to my lungs in college, and like I'm fine, and like I've never had trouble breathing like thus far, but I'll be like I'll text my parents and be like, oh my gosh, I'm having pain in my chest. What if it's this? And it's hard being a teenager because you're almost like traumatized a little bit because you're so aware of what's going on and like the severity, and you're going through multiple surgeries. Like Madeleine, you said you had 4 within a couple of years. I probably had like 7.
It was a lot.
Brian, how many surgeries did you have?
It's over. Yeah.
It's like not even just the cancer. It's like all the surgeries, and then sometimes it's surgeries to like fix something got taken out when the original cancer surgery. Now you have to fix something else. So it's like going through all of that while trying to make it through college, while trying to graduate high school is like absolutely insane. And I think it's like so important for people to understand why the teens like need so much support, because I mean, Madeleine, I met you, but beyond that, I didn't really know at that time really many people our age who
like I even
have been dealing with
remember I
cancer
had
or
an
who
appointment
had
at the
ever
John's
gotten it as a
office,
teenager.
and there was a kid who was my age when I was like a freshman in college, and I like never talked about what I was going through at the time because it was like I just like didn't want to think about it. But he was the same age. I think I was like 19 at the time. And like both of our moms had like gone downstairs to get coffee, so it was just the two of us, and we had to wait like forever for the doctor. And we had an amazing conversation, and we were like vibing, talking about everything and laughing, and it was so great. And I remember feeling so good after because I could relate exactly to what I went through. And then like both of our moms came up at the same time, and then they started talking and like complaining about us in the same way, like tell me for 2 months. I don't know. Really, like I don't know, having a community of people to yeah, I hear you, Doc. If you hear like my kids scream, no,
Our doorbell just rang. The dog's going nuts.
No, my dog's barking too. I apologize.
But it's really therapeutic to have like a
Bella just
community of
started
people to
tripping.
talk about, and you can really only talk about it to people that are going through it. So like that's why I love Bite Me Cancer, because I don't know, it's this like great community of people to be able to talk about. It's like, I don't know, every time I go to the dinner, I'm like, okay, this is like once a year that I'm like really gonna think about it and like let it out. You know, I give myself that time, and it's really great. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a good point. And you know, thinking about back, you had that moment with that other, you know, teenager around your age of, you know, dealing with cancer. That is so important for, you know, people to take those opportunities, chances to talk about their feelings and you know, find like, you know, other teenagers that are going through things and try to talk to people. Because I mean, I can't remember one person my age that I came across in the hospital for 3.5 years. And my best friend in the hospital is a 6-year-old. So, and you know, he was my favorite person, and we still keep in contact today. But you know, I definitely miss that, and I remember, you know, the first time I really met Sharon, and then Nikki and started joining the foundation, and then the first time I spoke at the wine dinner, that was the first time. I guess that was what, 2018, 2019, around then. That was the first time in maybe 8 years that I had written down, even thought about, you know, what I went through, and never really talked about that to anybody, and just and that was like kind of the so cathartic experience because I never had that opportunity. And I try to talk to, when I talk to parents and talk to people, you know, now and some of the teenagers, it's, you know, share what you can, open up, because it really makes you vulnerable, but it makes you feel like more of worth something in this moment, and just to capture those feelings because it's important. And I think people don't realize that enough when you're going through it. And it's easy to say that now, you know, because hindsight's 2020. But that's one of my biggest, you know, pieces of advice when I talk to families, talk to teenagers now. But
Yeah, and I totally agree with that and can like empathize and relate to that because same, like, I mean, yes, I started the foundation like when I was 17, so like I was in a sense talking about my experience, but not really. Like I was in like a business sense, right? Like this is a foundation, this is what I went through. Please donate, support us, show up to events, but I wasn't like, I mean, I never brought it up with my friends. Like, I never brought it up with anybody else my age. It was just kind of this thing that was like looming that I never really spoke about unless I was like going to get a scan or something. And my friends were like, "Oh, what are you doing today?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to scan my body for a couple hours." Like that, it just wasn't something that I talked about. And that's why I think with the Teen Support Bag program and these events that hopefully we can start doing more, it just hopefully lets them know that like there are other teens going through this, and whether they even open up to their parents or their friend, their best friend, their nurse, their child ed specialist, like our lovely Holly, like if something prompts them to be like, wow, look up our website, this is just for teens, that's so cool, and it just makes them have a conversation, or they show up to one of these events and there's a bunch of other teens and maybe they, even if they don't say anything, like even if it's just something like inside that they're like more at ease, if you can even be at ease in a situation like that, I think it makes all the difference to like why we do this. And just with the bags,
No, and
like Madeline,
I
did you
think
get
like the
anything when
bags
you were
too,
in the
it's
hospital?
just like
When
symbol
you
of
were
like
going
you're
through
not
any of
alone
your
and
stuff?
like you're so not that there's like a whole uh program. Like there's a whole like place where you can like be a part of a community. That's how not alone you are. Because I that community is really like I don't know, it kind of takes back central control in the situation because you're so out of control that it's like, okay, well, I don't know, I can connect with other people. It's just, I don't know. It definitely is awesome. But no, I did not get any in the hospital. I like didn't even like it was like here, let's treat your physical symptoms and then like move on with it. Not like, hey, here's somebody to talk to about it, or like here's a group of people like you who like, do group therapy. It was like here's like the plan of action. Like hopefully you can accept it at some point in your life. Like so
Honestly, kind of same. I think because I was in adult ward, so I mean, I also feel like I blacked out that period, honestly, because it was like so
yeah.
traumatic. I feel like I don't remember large chunks of it, honestly. I'd have to ask my family, but I don't remember like having somebody come talk to me about my feelings or about like what was going on. And again, being an older teenager, they do ask you about like long-term repercussions, like even with like fertility as a woman or as a man. And I remember kind of that being brought up, but then that's something I'm thinking about now. And it's like, oh, I feel like hopefully, child life specialists and hopefully our programs will help teens better realize that like it's okay to speak up. And I think in this day and age, 2023, I think therapy
1000%.
and talking about your feelings is a bit more kosher maybe than it was back in 2010. So I think that's good, and it's in a good tone and a good
Madeline,
direction.
can I ask you a question real quick? So you said something when you were talking
But
about
yeah.
like your journey and that kind of made me think of something. And so you can think back, 12 years ago, your senior year in high school, when you're going through all this, and you said that you were diagnosed with cancer, but you never felt like you had cancer. So how was that like dealing with that as a senior in high school and kind of not even, you don't look when you think of cancer patient, you didn't probably look like the typical patient, shaved head, and people are like, do you really have cancer? Is she like you see a lot of those things when talking to people. I think Nikki's even shared that several times at the wine dinner, and just kind of just walk me through like how you were feeling as a teenager and how you dealt with going back to school, going back to your friends, and that really changed reality, but it was more of an inside than almost an outside thing.
Yeah, I didn't ever like look sick or feel. I think at first I really thought that the adults in my life were being dramatic. I was like, I really felt like it was overkill. Like they are doing all this to my body and there's nothing wrong with me. Like I felt that way for a very long time. And so I definitely feel like that built a bit of like resentment and towards like the adults in my life and also doctors. I was like, this just doesn't make any sense to me. But also like in terms of my friends, it was like they call it the pink elephant in the room. Is that the term? I might have like totally butchered that. But it was like this big thing that nobody wanted to talk about and I didn't talk about. And it was just like, I don't know. It was like really awkward. I remember I got interviewed by the Washington Post. I was like on the cover. And it was the most like for me at 17, it was like the most embarrassing. And my um, teacher put it wall outside of our classroom so that everybody that went in saw it. And I just remember being like mortified, which is so weird now because I'm like, that is awesome. Like I'm so cool that like I was in the newspaper, like on the but and like now I have it like framed in my house and I think it's awesome. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this
Oh, that's great. No, but at that age, you're like, it's a vulnerable
yeah,
thing to just put out there. So, like, to have it outside of a classroom, I mean,
right.
I would have been mortified. I would have, in college, I didn't want people to know that about me first. I
Yeah.
wanted them to know me first. And then, if I'm comfortable enough, I'll, like, mention it, Because it was like, you don't want to be known by that first and have people, like, pity you
Yeah, or even
almost
like
and be
job
like, are you
applications. Like
okay?
I remember, or
I
not
feel
job
like that's
applications,
why
but
I
like
didn't really talk
working
about it.
and like when you graduate, it's like you want to like hide it from your employer. This sounds like so messed up, but it's like I don't want anyone to think that I'm like sick like employee. I don't like, I'm fine. So I like really did need extra time off sometimes to like help get through things. I would like hide it all. So I think that I needed to do a lot more inside work and accepting what was happening, which I absolutely not at that age. And also like, you know, your brain isn't fully developed then and you like can't make good decisions. So I have to like practice self-forgiveness. But yeah, it was like a big like denial. Like I just did not accept what was happening.
And I think I was definitely in that kind of the same shoes too. But I think, you know, looking back, one of the craziest things about, you know, even we were all young adults. I was, you know, late teenagers, but like even at 17 and, you know, 19 for me, we didn't own our own stories.
Yeah,
You know, just thinking about that, and like that just came into my mind while, you know, listening to you guys, and you know, we've had this.
yeah.
We don't own our own stories. You know, our parents were still so involved in, you know, what we were doing and where it got out and where it shared. And I'm not blaming anybody or saying anything that, you know, it's just like sometimes I never got to be me first. You know, it was always cancer first from, you know, at that point on. And it's hard. And sometimes it can still be that way. But I feel at least now being much more open to, you know, my experience and what I went through, and you know, definitely being a part of this foundation, it doesn't bother me as much. But the fact that I never felt like I owned my story or never could own the narrative, you know, even back in college when I went back to school, you know, we're in some frat basement and one of my friends goes, "That's Brian, he had cancer." "No, thanks. Never met you before." And that's the first thing I get to meet. So, you know, but not having like, I don't want to say the rights to your own story, but it kind of feels weird to say, but like that's what it was.
Yeah. I like am gonna like get that tattooed on my body. I like um because I feel like people they're like, oh, you're so inspirational because you're like not bothered by it. And like people are like looking at you as like this like a success story, like, or I don't know, something to like look at. And it's like, no, I am just in denial. Like honestly, like, yeah, do not look up to me. Like I'm just not happening.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. No, literally. And like I finally like almost in my wine dinner speech from this last year, I finally was like, I'm just gonna be honest for a little bit. Like I just started going to therapy. I'm just now coming to terms with the fact that like I went through this, we all went through this at a very traumatic time, being late teenagers and younger teenagers, the whole teenage age group. It's a very traumatic time. You like do something in school and it's traumatic. Like imagine like having to get sick. So finally being able to do the work at 29, 30, 31 years old. I mean, we just want to be able to, as a foundation, let them know that it's okay to start doing the work now if you want to. And that, you know, you're not alone and we're here to support you. We always have moms and dads and sometimes teens themselves reach out to us after they get a bag and they just say such sweet things, which is, you know, why we're going to continue obviously to do what we're going to do. We are in every 50 states and DC, which is so amazing. We're always looking for new hospitals, of course. And yeah.
I think it's so cool, you know, to see the foundation share all of those great feedback, you know, posts throughout Teen Cancer Awareness Week, and just really see the impact that foundation has. And you know, I know it was started in such a small scale in Northern Virginia, but the fact that, you know, we're in 50 states now, we've raised $1 million, we've sent 10,000 bags, you know, it's incredible that such a small thing started. And I always laugh, you know, Nikki, when talking to your parents, and Michael or Sharon will say to me, like, she wants to start a foundation. What? Like, we're involved. Like, we know what that is. We know. And to see where they are now and see where this whole foundation is now, it's incredible. And, you know, I do kind of remiss that, like, I had a chance back in 2012 or 11 to be back in on the ground floor with you guys when I was asked, and I just said, absolutely not. I was in denial. I didn't want to be involved, but it was baby cancer that they tried to get me involved with. And then full circle, you know, 5, 6, 7 years later, it's still so funny
Yeah.
to me. But it's amazing the work that you do, and the fact that you got
Yeah.
Cancer Awareness Week is amazing. So I'm gonna quit rambling now.
No, yeah, and also Nikki, it has seriously been like so much fun to like grow up with you. Like we have been here, so just want to say that you're amazing. Love the foundation, love being a part of it. And I'm so excited to see what you come up with next. So very.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you both so much for being on. Thank you, Madeleine, for joining us. You've been awesome. This will be posted on our Instagram at Bite Me Cancer. Go ahead and give
Sounds
us
great.
a follow.
Have a good night.
You'll be able
Bye.
to rewatch this, and we'll see you next time.